Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
We're teaching people how to take the stigma also out of an industry that has like a little bit of when people get off, you kind of feel a little dirty. And instead, we're teaching them how to do it the ethical way, be transparent. You don't have to gouge people. There's a right way to do it. And the fact that for me, I've been doing this since I was 18 years old, and my name has been my reputation my entire career says a lot that there is a way to be successful in this by doing it the right way.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later.
And now your host. If he were a farm animal, he'd be the sheepdog. Helpful, happy, and hungry.
Pat Flynn.
With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply.
You know, it always amazes me when I discover new pockets of the world where people are generating an income. We've had several people on the show previously who've talked about interesting ways that they've found a way to make a living. From episode 99 with Cliff and Jessica LaRue talking about how they would go to places like Target and Walmart in the clearance aisles, buy things and sell them for a lot more on Amazon. And many people have listened to that episode. They've actually started doing retail arbitrage themselves. And some of the people who have listened to the show, their lives were changed as a result. We even had a person come on to talk about how to become sort of a notary public and to do things specifically like that, and a person in the real estate space in order to how to become the person who helps people close documents when they buy a house and getting paid for that. And today we are discovering a new world and a new pocket of the entrepreneur world, one that actually a lot of us are familiar with but didn't know was like a thing. What I mean is digital payment processing. Anybody who sells anything online has to do digital payment processing. But did you know that you could become your own digital payment process broker? Now, you can do this in a few ways. You can learn how to broker these deals yourself so that payment processing happens through you. You don't have to use any other processors, and you can build it in a way that's favorable and saves you money over time. You can do it just for your own products. But most people who are going down this route are looking to discover how to do this for other businesses. They essentially become a business consultant, help other businesses move from their current payment platforms to theirs, and also help them with other business aspects. And they can become a broker who can then take advantage of the residuals that can come your way. And out of all the forms of passive income that I've discovered over time, this may be one of the most, if not the most passive of them all, because once you lock in an account, they stick with you as a payment processor, and you're earning anywhere between 0.01 to 1% of every single transaction that goes through that business. And today we're speaking with Patricia and David Carlin, who Patricia's first account with digital payment processing was back in the 90s with Star Wars. And now she and her husband, David, teach people how to build their own digital brokerage system. And it's pretty amazing. I mean, they do talk about a course that they have, so there is a little bit of pitching in here, but it is well worth it because many of you might go down this route and find interest in it. I'm not an affiliate for their program, but I'm really excited to introduce this world to you. And as you'll see, the residual's amazing. But there is some upfront work. It's not necessarily for everybody. But I wanted to bring them on to help you discover that, well, there's this part of the world that exists too. And this might be right up your alley as well. And it's definitely got me thinking, especially when I love business where everybody wins in the end, right? Like you could set up this payment processing brokerage thing of your own, a microprocessor, if you will, and help other businesses save money. But you yourself are also getting residual incomes too. Pretty darn amazing. And we're going to speak with David and Patricia right now. Here they are. You can find them also at residualpayments.com. Patricia, David, welcome to Smart Passive Income. Thank you both for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah,
I like your shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, we over me, man. It's a community thing. And I know you're a part of the entrepreneurial community as well. You're doing a lot to make many other people aware to this really cool sort of corner of a niche in the entrepreneurial space that you guys are in with relation to payment processing. I know that's kind of the world that you came from. David, maybe I could start with you. Give us a little quick origin story of where that all began, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Probably about 10 years ago, I was literally in the shoes of the people that we now are helping, build their payments companies or whatever direction they go in, which we could touch about later, where I had my retail store, I had my e-com store, and I had my payment processing set up to accept payments. And I was always focused on my business, not on the payment processing, right? And I met her and I was like, what are you doing on your cell phone? I don't understand. Where's this money? It never made sense to me. I'm like, I have all these employees, all this overhead. I don't care if I have a big day on Monday, it resets. I have to restart again on Tuesday. And then learning about the business through my wife and then getting married to her and hearing every single conversation, I was like, I'm getting rid of my stores. I'm getting into payments. And Patricia now, 23 years later, has been in the industry. So even though we're training people today, and we'll talk about, there's 3 different avenues of how we train people, whether it's a business owner who wants to switch their payment processing, take control of it, someone who wants to add a side hustle, or someone who wants to be like us and build a massive payments company. We still are building our payments companies today while we're training people.
Yeah. Patricia, what is this payment processing thing like for people who are like, okay, this sounds interesting, but what is it exactly? What are we building here specifically?
Sure. So payment processing is basically the ability for anybody to accept credit card payments in store and online. So everybody, and it's funny because when I started in 1998. At the time, I only did e-commerce. I worked for one of the first companies to do e-com transactions. So it was a new world to to everybody, right? And from there, my whole thing was I've never sold a retail account in my entire life. And it was all e-com, how to do this, getting merchant set up. So Sony Music, Star Wars, all these people that were kind of up and coming and wanting to come on the web. That's how I created my niche and said, all right, well, nobody really knows about this at all. So why don't I become a payments consultant? And so what I did was facilitated people, anyone who had a website at that time. So Time Magazine, the first multiplayer online games, and help them establish the ability to accept credit card payments. And then from there, it rolled into everyday people. I mean, we use transactions and credit card processing every day of our life. So it's a business that anybody could do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting because when we hear payment processing, we immediately think of things like, well, there's PayPal, right? And there's Stripe. And back in the day when I first started, there was Authorize.net. And those were the tools that we used to do payment processing. But are you saying that we could become our own Stripe or PayPal or Authorize.net? Is that what you're talking about?
In a sense, you can. So before Stripe and PayPal, there's always been somebody in between, a broker that facilitated you getting, for example, to Authorize.net, which was just a gateway, right? So every business went through a broker who then ended up going to a bank to get set up with a merchant account.
Like a real estate agent.
Right, exactly, like a real estate.
Got it.
So in order to become a Stripe or PayPal, that's a whole other thing. You have to basically work with ISOs, you have to work with sponsor banks and go through a whole process. We're teaching people how to set up and become brokers. So basically having their own micro payment agency, which means you right now, tomorrow, could go out, take the course, take the program, and then immediately turn to anyone that you know that has a business, including yourself, and actually board the account and make residual income off of it. People just didn't realize that there's somebody in between. That's really there's always been us around and many of us. People just didn't realize that they could do it too without any experience.
So I could receive residual income from becoming that broker to help somebody else accept payments with credit cards from their fans, their community, what have you. Mm-hmm. And essentially I would be replacing, if they were to use something like a PayPal or Stripe, and how would that benefit the my friend who has a retail store or e-commerce store?
I mean, well, one thing is it doesn't have to replace. It can be redundancy. It can be load balancing. Sometimes we're like, keep PayPal and Stripe. If that's what you like, you can do some with us, some with them, whatever you want. Now, it may be a lower rate. It may be keeping your accounts not getting shut down. It may be quicker funding. It may be that you want better support. It may be different hardware. Mm-hmm. It may be that you want a million other services outside of merchant processing, because we do a million other things. We do payroll, lending, gift cards, social media, branding, marketing. The list goes on. So we essentially you have three different routes when you come and join residual payments. And before we even built residual payments, we were training people for years unintentionally. We never really didn't think I'd be on Zoom all day long. We, it just never was like, oh, let's create a course. I hate saying it, but for us, you have number one, you could join our platform if you're a business owner and you're like, I want to figure out how to cut out the middleman. Maybe you want to cut out the PayPal, cut out the Stripe, cut out the middleman, take control of your payment processing, and just lower your own rates for yourself. You can come in our program, learn it, leave, be happy, and do one thing that saves you money for the rest of the time you have your business. Number two,
right.
You can come in and say, I want a side hustle in my back pocket that I can keep forever, because there's no yearly dues or licenses. So this is something you can do now and revisit it 5 years from now. Or you may have a marketing company or some kind of company where you want to add this as a value add, right? To add to your existing company to make it more valuable, et cetera, et cetera. Or you say, I have the time, I want to take the time, I want to work directly with you guys. And essentially what we're teaching you to build is not Berkshire Hathaway in a sense, but to build a department of Berkshire Hathaway, kind of, if that makes sense, where like people can like those deals. So then we show you how to set up the relationships, how the whole process works from start to finish. And we go after the easy accounts in the beginning for you. And then we work our way up with X, Y, and Z. And every time you land an account, you get paid for the life of the account. Our oldest account is 15 years old?
Almost 15 years old.
Well, you're kind of locked in, right? Once you got payments down, it's like why would you change after you got something that works, right? So that's amazing.
So, I mean, it does change, because then people will say, well, then everyone's locked in. What happens in our businesses, there's a lot of people who just want to, it is kind of a set it and forget it in a way, right? But at the end of the day, you still have to make sure that you're going back to the merchant saying, is there anything you need? Is there anything I could help you with? If you notice that they're really not communicating with you a lot, or you want to talk about growth plans, like anything, I mean, sales, right? You've learned it now through your business and everything you've done. You still have to have that touch point where you come in and try to do value add for them. And at the same time, keep the communication open. And yeah, I mean, I could say that it has been, for me at least, it's a rarity that I've ever lost a merchant, unless they've gotten acquired by somebody that already had a locked in processor they had to use. And that's really, we're teaching people how to take the stigma also out of an industry that has like a little bit of the used car, I don't want to say used car salesman, but it's kind of thing, right? It's kind of like when people get off, you kind of feel a little dirty. And instead we're teaching them how to do it the ethical way, be transparent. You don't have to gouge people. There's a right way to do it. And the fact that for me, I've been doing this since I was 18 years old, and my name has been my reputation my entire career, says a lot that there is a way to be successful in this by doing it the right way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had never even considered this as a potential opportunity to generate passive income. But actually, when you look at it, it is likely one of the most passive ways of generating an income. It's going to be a lot of hard work up front. And I do want to talk a little bit about what's required and who this is for, who this isn't for, that kind of thing. But, once on the show before, we had a person talk about the success that they had with an online course that they had teaching people. They taught people how to become essentially like notary publics, essentially. In the real estate space and sign paperwork. And that person who came on, several listeners were like, that's what I want to do. And they actually made a career out of it. And some of them made a side hustle. And it was like a part of the world I didn't even know existed that you could have be like your income source. And this seems to be even more opportunistic. But I think you're right. There is a little bit of, hey, this is kind of potentially an icky sort of space. There's a lot of that. I remember feeling something similar when, I don't know if it was Paychex or another one, but it was like a payroll processing system. Like they just started calling everybody and asking them to move to theirs. And it just felt very salesy and whatnot. And it seems like you're just trying to, open up the possibility of this being, authentic and being great and helping people through this who want to do it well. So if I wanted to do this, like run me through the steps. If I wanted to make this like a side thing, I don't want to maybe make it like, I don't want to build, a Berkshire, but maybe one day. Yeah. But if I just wanted to get started with this, what might it look like? And also like get me excited. How much could I potentially make doing something like this?
So the thing is, that's why you you were saying, like, it's kind of that feeling of all the other people, not everybody, there's a lot of good people in payments. Anyone ever listens to this, we like people in payments, but people who work at payments companies, they have to hit quotas, right? They get their bonuses. So they don't give a crap about you. They land your account, they're on to another one. So this program, it's never been done before. We built the world's largest trading program, to make residual income off of credit cards. Like, do you see a million other programs out there? This is the only one and the largest really out there. And it's different because it's people like you where you're going to talk to your friends. You're going to talk to somebody So you already have that relationship kind of built out, right? So you're not like a salesperson. You're going to be seeing that friend. So for you, what we tell everybody is even my best friend at my wedding, he was excited when he landed his first account. He was excited when they started processing. It wasn't until the money hit his bank account when he called me. He's like, Dave, this is real. And I was like, I don't know if I should be insulted, if I should be happy for you. I mean, I've known you my whole life.
I just wasn't sure.
But it's like, I know it was real. It's just until I see. So I always tell everybody is, listen, let's get rid of a cell phone bill, right? Let's start out with a cell phone bill, then a car bill, then a house bill, then an X, Y, and Z. We don't need overnight millionaires. I need you to see if this actually works. So a month later, you're not like, I'm going to build an Amazon store. And I'm like, okay, when you do, call me. I'll set up a merchant account for you and you can get to work, right? So that's where you have to, let me say this before I really could dive into your question. Okay. Someone wants to open up a restaurant. Maybe they work at a restaurant for 5 years to learn everything there is about how to run a successful restaurant. 5 years later, they've either saved up every single dollar or they've taken out a loan. They open up their dream restaurant. You now will have the capability to knock on their door and say, hello, X, Y, and Z. I'm here to make a percentage off of all your hard risk, and all the money you put out. If they go under, you try to help them, but you won't lose everything. You just land another account. If they double their sales, you double your income. If they open more locations, you make more money. So for you, we essentially break you down because every single person is completely different. Some people want to build the team. Some people only want to work online. Some people want to work offline. Some people want to not have a website. Everyone's completely different on what type of business they want to go after. So we would be like, all right, Matt, who do you know? What type of businesses do they operate in? And here's what you only need to know for right now, because there's a million things that you could learn. So once you set up your incorporation, your business bank account, you could essentially land your first account in 1 week's time. And we help you with the whole entire process of talking with your friend on the phone, doing the applications, handling support, pretty much doing all the heavy lifting for you in the beginning, so that essentially you're learning while you're there. You're on the call with us. You're watching us send the application. You're watching the whole entire process. So you're learning as you go. We're not just saying, here's the information, you go figure it out. Ourselves and our team are there with you every step of the way, because we have a vested interest for you to be successful.
So let's say I'm a part of the program and I'm going to go get my first account. What does that look like? What does that even mean? What am I collecting from my buddy who I know has payment processing, and I know that it would benefit him to work with me, but what am I asking exactly? What's that conversation?
You're going to typically be asking, number one is, the first thing you have to do for retail is figure out what software that they're using. So you'd look at, like, if you go into your friend's bagel shop right now, right? You'll look and you'll see if they use a software, what kind of software it is, what kind of point of sale, that kind of the system where they put it. And I always forget that we have to break it down in layman's terms, but the little white machine that takes credit cards.
Which Square is one of them, I think. Square.
So Square would be a competitor, which we're very competitive on pricing. They'd always be able to compete on pricing against Square, because Square really is more for your mom and pop type of company that just wants to get set up very quick. At the end of the day, the rates are pretty high compared to what they could be at. And then the second thing that they get is a merchant statement. So if their friend, let's say your friend says, I don't really feel comfortable sending it to you, Pat, that's fine. You could go ahead and send it into our team, which is then our back office. And once we get that, we do a cost savings analysis, and then they'll schedule what's called a deal call. And our team, and that's really what's important about it, is that this is hands-on training. We're not doing deal calls for anybody. We're not doing these things like as if it's an automated system. We're doing it so that you're going to learn, you're going to hear it and go, oh, that totally makes sense. When the person comes on the call, we do exactly what we do every day, because we're still in payments. We get on, we tell them what values they're going to get. We ask them what kind of funding they have. A lot of people have 2 or 3 day funding. We put them to next day funding, or even sometimes same day funding, and just really kind of look at what they're going to be gaining by working with us. And then if the person says yes, they like the savings, then we also work with, let's say it's just you as an example. We would show you the whole process of getting the paperwork out to them, the merchant account application, and then get them live. It's really not complicated. Like, it seems complicated, but it's a very easy process.
Let me recap before you present it, if you don't mind, Beth. So I want you, other people are like, you can do our program in a day. I don't want you. If you do our program in a day, then you didn't read or watch any of the material and you went way too fast, right? We're building a company here, or even just building a side business for you that can make you a lot of money. So we want to make sure we're doing it right. So honestly, like, I'd want you like taking 2 weeks to just digest and understand everything, right? I don't need you 8 hours a day reading and watching. I just need you to like watch a video or two, read a PDF or two, join a call or two, and then be like, okay, now I understand. Okay, now I got my direction of where you didn't just start a podcast and just grab a mic and start going. Who am I going to target? Where am I going to go after? So after you figure out where you're going to target, like we said, what hardware, software, getting 1 month's processing statement, we show you where to send it into. We show you how you get that back. We show you how to present that to your client. We show you how to set up that call. We show you the steps of how we join you on the call. And then if your merchant's like, yeah, great, I want to move forward, we show you what the next step is, us sending the application with you with a video recording, and then how, when your merchant's approved, what that next step is. So we're kind of taking it step by step, so we don't overwhelm you, so that you're learning, the process, and not just be like, here's everything, figure it out. We're there with you when you need to learn those certain things as you progress in your payments career.
Gotcha. So the merchant statement that I get from my buddy who I'm trying to work with will tell us how much he's processing and all the fees and all that stuff that he normally offers, right? And then I can send that over to a company like yours to go, hey, well, they can work with us and save this much money, right? So in the end, they're actually going to be saving money, and the numbers would kind of speak for itself, which is my favorite way of like marketing something is to remove all the sliminess by just going, look how obvious this is to work with us, right?
That's it.
I mean, it's as simple as this. And no, they're amazing. Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels team, right? They built an absolute empire. But if you were to tell your buddy, hey, you should use ClickFunnels, not use your website, let me teach you about it, right? First, you have to teach them how to build a funnel. Then they have to take money, put the marketing behind it, and then they have to actually wait for the sales to come in, right? It's a whole entire process you have to keep doing. If you were to tell your friend, hey, listen, I don't know if you want to switch or if you don't, this can literally take you 1 hour, right, of your time to get me a statement and jump on a call. That 1 hour of your time with no money, with no upfront money, in 1 hour could potentially put money back in your business every single month for the next 10 years after we do something for 1 hour.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, what else could you ever offer somebody?
Exactly. I mean, there's really no sale required once they see all that right in front of them. What changes for them? They now are using the payment processing program that I have now. What changes for my friend and his bakery or what have you? Are they using a different software now? Like, what's different for them?
It all depends. We might integrate. They might keep everything they have. So that's, again, when we show you and we guide you through that. So eventually you know the names, like you'll know the specific names not to go after. You'll know if your friend has Square, hey, ask them what they like about Square so we can gather information to present a different product. You ask your friend, hey, you're using Square. I can't integrate. Would you be open to switching if I could save you money? No, I'll never leave Square. Glad I asked. Now I know this is not a deal. I don't want to waste my time. So eventually that's where you learn what to go after and what not to go after. But like for your friends' websites or what have you, it's essentially like switching from one Wi-Fi network to another one. On the front facing, like a POS, like Patricia was talking about, or a website, you don't notice that you switched. It's all done in the back end.
Gotcha. Now to my other question, let's say I do this for a couple of my friends per month, for example. Just I only have a couple extra hours over the weekends, and that's when we meet up. And then I might, change a couple of their merchant accounts to my own. What does that do for me? Like, what are the numbers as far as like what residuals come back into my pocket from the sales that they're making now? Because money's got to come from somewhere, right? And before, when they were making these payments through these other processors, money was going to that processor, right? Like the fee, the credit card fee that goes on top of the payment, right? That's the money we're talking about. Now, are you saying that percentage extra that usually comes with a transaction anyway will now come into my pocket?
Correct. So basically it's a little bit, there's a few more players in it than that, but what happens is the majority, it's called independent sales organizations. That's what an ISO is. That an ISO is an ISO is a Square, right? So Square is an ISO. PayPal is an ISO. There are many, many, many other ISOs that are out there who basically have sponsorships with Visa and MasterCard, right? So a bank, a community bank, for example, you're not going to be able to walk in there and get a merchant account most of the time. It's because they contract out with other ISOs. The majority of ISOs build their entire businesses and their portfolios from brokers. Just so you know that. A lot of ISOs will have a small inside sales team and maybe a few corporate executives in there that do more of like the big complicated RFPs and stuff. But the majority of ISOs depend on agents and brokers to bring them the deals. So the way that the cash flow works is that the ISO gets paid their money. So let's say broker A, we broker it, right? We have a main master agreement with 20 of them because of the 20 years in payments, right? So we decide where that's going to go. So let's say it's a CBD merchant. Well, a CBD merchant is going to go with a specific ISO. When that merchant processes a transaction, the ISO pays out the residuals, which could be anywhere between 25 basis points to 2% of the extra basically you get paid out. And
we'll tell them there's 100 basis points. You can make 0.1 to 1%. It just depends on how we price them and how long you want.
What type of account it is, what type of business model. If it's a higher risk account, like a mid-risk account, let's say a direct selling company, or like I said, CBD or something like that, those type of accounts or coaching programs, those type of accounts are priced higher than obviously a mom and pop shop in a restaurant. And then you get paid on a monthly basis. The person who brought the deal gets paid a portion of that business. So it's all over the board. You could get paid $50 on an account every single month though. So think about, it's forever as long as they stay with you and you're servicing them. $50 adds up. You could get paid $20,000 a month on an account, right? So I have accounts where, like Dave was talking about, for the last 14, 15 years, at one point it was $60,000 a month because it was a very, very high volume MLM account. So we're just getting it, obviously now after all these years, it could be between 5 and 10,000 a month, but that's a substantial amount of money.
So, on a $100 sale, you can make 10 cents, you can make $1, it depends. But what I will tell you is after you understand how the pricing models work, right? And that's where we're there with you to make sure you're not doing the wrong pricing. You're like, why didn't I make money? Like, we're making sure we're doing all the pricing for you. You're understanding what the pricing looks like as you're getting started. You will have somewhere where you'll be able to export your residuals and export all of your clients. So you're not messaging me like, Dave, what am I making? I'm like, I don't know, Pat, go log in and go look at all, it's your clients. It has nothing to do with me. It's your company, right? You're not working for me. You're just working alongside of us. So eventually you'll start to figure out, okay, that's what I can make all this. This is what I can make all this. When we're on the call with you before and after, I'm like, all right, Pat, Dan, blah, 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 wants to move forward. He's priced at this. We'll get the app sent out. Depending on what cards he takes and how much volume they do, this is probably what you'll make a month. So you'll kind of know in the back of your mind, essentially what you're going to make. Now, residual payments is like a Costco model. Myself included, with you and the thousands of other people there inside residual payments. And this is a worldwide thing. Eventually, we're opening up Canada and EU later this year. Right now, it's just in the US.
Okay.
Where we're all working together, right? Simultaneously going to some of the similar banks, similar payments companies, similar terminal providers. This allows us to work in power and numbers to get exclusivity and lower rates of all of us combined. So that's really what the main goal is. If you joined and 1,000 other people joined and you're all like, I like mindset, I'll give you mindset. We do that. But if no one was closing deals, this would not work. I'd be like, this would, because it wouldn't give us all these exclusive partnerships. So this is strictly, as much as we want to help people with their mindset and everything else, which we do, it's like, you better go close accounts because we're dependent on you to be successful as well, because as a whole, we keep winning and keep getting lower rates because we're catching a lot of accounts.
Gotcha. What do I have to look out for if I were to get into this space? Is there any pitfalls or things to worry about? Like, sometimes with regards to credit card payments and such, things default, or there are chargebacks and any of those kinds of things. Like, how does that affect me as somebody who is the merchant in all of this?
So if you're the merchant, it's different, right? But as you, as let's say a broker coming in,
excuse me.
Yeah, you don't hold liability, right? Unless you're doing, and let me put a caveat in there. The reason we're really here is I've been fortunate enough that I've worked in every facet of the industry, right? So on the risk side, building ISOs, scaling ISOs, every part of it. So I know, and our teams know what to look out for. So sometimes there's inexperienced agents and there's predators, just like in any other business, that prey on inexperience. So there is a lot of fraud in the industry on the other side. So all of a sudden, and I'll just use this one recently, last week that just happened. One of the brokers got an application for a chiropractor, right? Okay. The chiropractor comes in. I mean, it's a chiropractor, low risk. That should be approved. He's a doctor, right? No problem. When we looked at the paperwork, and a lot of times we'll do frontline underwriting just because of obviously my skill set that's been in the payments. We'll look at it. And I noticed something that was odd about it. It was the person's name, the LLC, and then another agent who wasn't part of our fleet in a different state got the same application, right? With the same information for the chiropractor. Another chiropractor comes in 3 days later. What are the odds? 2 chiropractors right at the same time.
Finding people on different states.
Yeah. And I looked at their driver's licenses. Both were 5'8", both born in 1963, 2 different states, 2 different chiropractors, same LLC format. I'm like, this is weird. An inexperienced agent would go ahead and submit that package to whichever process or ISO that they're working with and not think 2 things about it, right? That broker, let's say, would not hold liability for it if the ISO ended up putting them live. However, it hurts your credibility with the ISOs of being inexperienced. So I would say that a lot of the stuff that you have to look out for has already been, we've already gone through those. We already know what's there. So we're like the blocker. We're blocking from you having to learn the hard mistakes.
It's kind of like essentially, like, let's just use the podcast example, right? Right before we jumped on, it's like, Pat, I was like, what camera are you using? I'm like, it looks like crap. I'm like, what do you when you're like, well, I'll tell you afterwards. Essentially what we're doing for you is, imagine if I came to you, I'm like, listen, hey, I want to hire you for the next, let's say 6 months to show me what should I get in the beginning so I don't buy the wrong things and waste time or money. And then show me how do I build out the infrastructure How do I go and find the audience? How do I engage with that audience? And how do I keep rinsing and repeating? I need you there every step of the way. That's essentially what we're doing for you, because we've already banged our heads against a million different walls where you don't have to anymore.
Right.
Dave, more so than me.
Yes. Yeah. That is true.
What else do I have to look out for? I mean, this it sounds like an amazing opportunity for a certain kind of person. Like, do you have to be a really good salesman or saleswoman to be able to do this? How would you recommend the audience like understand that this is really right for them?
You have to be the type of person that's just, the people who fail, that's probably we always hear talk about success, right? But the people who fail, who come in, are like, I'm going after Walmart. I'm like, ooh, well, good luck, because that's not going to happen, right? Or they're like, or I'm like, hey, don't go after gas pumps because they're usually controlled by First Data or the gas companies. We can't go after them. Don't go after businesses where they're not business owner run. We built our entire businesses, not the whole thing, but relationships and partnerships. We have so many partnerships with CPAs, web developers, marketing companies that refer deals over to us where we split our commission with them for them referring it. So we believe more in building relationships rather than cold calling, buying leads. We show you all the steps of how to organically create that sales process. So if you're not a person that's going to buck what we tell you to do, if you're not the type of person where it's like, you think you have your own process, you're going to do something that's exact opposite of what we teach you, you're going to have a hard time. But I don't care if you're richer, poorer, smarter, whatever it is. If you come to our program and you listen to what we want you to do, we're teaching what we do every single day, what works. And what's great about our program is you are hearing from us, of course, but you're going to be around thousands of other people who are building their payments companies. And we have weekly calls where everyone joins, which is actually a really beautiful thing, in ourselves included. We all join each other on calls and talk about what's working and what's not working. All these people competing against each other, helping each other, which is kind of one of the coolest things, because it's great to hear from us, but to hear from somebody who was in your shoes a week ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and they're like, hey, I did this worked, this didn't work. That's what really helps you, kind of elevate your sales process. So essentially, imagine joining 1,000 other podcasters and everyone's just talking about what's working and what's not working openly.
Yeah.
And I think that something to add, just because I think that for me, when we started the course, he'll know when we started the program, I was like, well, I don't know. Is it because when you're ingrained in it for so many years, right? It's like your background with architecture, you imagine teaching somebody about architecture now, which you do, right? So you teach the pitfalls of it. And at first I'm like, I don't know, is everyone going to be able to grasp it? And I could tell you that it's been a learning experience for me as well, because people who I never would have thought in a million years would be able to get accounts, my whole perspective has changed on it, because it's actually better that we built these people from the ground up, teaching them the right things. They have access to businesses that if I walk into a business, and I'll just use the example of the truck driver, right? The 50-something-year-old truck driver. Never in a million years did I think, I'm like, it's great that I believe, I'm also a person that believes in learning. I think it's great to have a skill set that you never know you're going to be able to use. It's one that you could have in 10 years from now. You don't have to do it every day. So I don't care if people are learning just for the education of it. If they have a business, they need to learn. It's the bloodline to somebody's business, right? So when all of a sudden this truck driver was able to have conversations with the roadside motels that they had been going to for 18 years and get a merchant statement, I couldn't have walked into that roadside motel in Kansas or Nebraska and been like, hey, so I just happened to pop in and would love to be able to get a merchant statement for you. They'd be like, who are you? Instead they trusted this person who's been coming there on their truck stop for 18 years. So who could really do it? I think payments, and this is coming from me, and because I've seen it now, there is not a person.
We have every agent.
We have every type of person. There's not a person that can't do it, because this is not, I believe there is a certain age and a certain roadblock to somebody saying, hey, do you want to get into crypto training? A person who's never really spent time online is not going to really know how to be successful. A person who goes, remember that bakery you went to, remember that restaurant you went to, and you swiped your credit card, you've been doing it your whole entire life. They go, yeah, okay. You're going to be the person now that helps them get better rates. And you're going to they're like, okay, it's this, there's no fluff about it. This is the reality. It's a business that exists. It's existed forever. Now you just get a chance to be part of it without having to get recruited by a company or learning from a friend, which is how I got into
build your own future.
Yeah, you can kind of do this independently, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Can you give me an honest look at in terms of upkeep? So you have maybe a few accounts. How much upkeep is required? There's no such thing as 100% passive income, but tell me a little bit about what is required to maintain those accounts and maintain your sanity while doing all this.
I mean, some of our accounts we haven't probably talked to in years, but that's because they if they need us, they know where to find us, right? Now, the partners that you will have, you and everybody else who's listening, the payment partners will provide pretty much 99% of the support for your merchants. So as long as, which we show you, make sure they get these contact numbers, make sure they get these contact emails. That's where they go if they need anything. They have your cell phone, but I believe in like following up with our merchants like every couple months. Hey, it's Dave here. Just want anything you ever need. Because what we do is after we show you how to save that business owner money or sustain their whatever it is for their payment processing, it's kind of easiest part. I then pivot and go, let's talk about your business, right? We just put money back in your business. Do we want to go on vacation, or do we want to take that $6,000 we're saving a year and turn it into 24? Well, I'd like to turn it into 24. Okay, well, we got $6,000 to play with. Do you want to help with your marketing, your branding, your social media, your payroll, automation? Let's talk. Let's brainstorm. So we teach people how to come in as business consultants, so they're not a one-trick pony selling one ancillary service. So when you make yourself invaluable, that's when your merchants stay with you forever. So that's where it's kind of like a million different offerings that we offer.
Yeah. I like that idea of not just thinking about this as, hey, I'm somebody who's going to come in and sell payment processing to these people, but rather I'm going to come in and help these businesses save money and help them market better and help them ultimately have a better time running their business, almost like a consultant of sorts, whereby the lowest hanging fruit would be the payment processing sort of change.
The spoke in the wheel. Yeah. That's what it is. Really, if you think about it, the payments piece is truly just the spoke in the wheel that helps it go. But at the end of the day, it's all the other services. And I'll just use Eric as an example. So somebody that we taught payments to now is part of the, he actually is part of.
We insource a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, we insource a lot of people. Eric went from his first gun store in North Carolina, right? It was a local gun store. He ended up getting him a merchant account. Eric then said, all right, the guy said, well, would you like to work the gun show with me? Eric used to say, he's like, I don't want to go work a gun show. I'm going to, he has a bunch of kids, and I think he's having 4 kids. Now he has 3 kids. And I can't go work gun shows. Eric went to go help the guy with the gun show, running just transactions for him, helping him. The number of accounts he has now, and in the entire network. And the funny thing is, those people just don't own gun stores. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, Eric, by the way, we also need processing for our 2 restaurants. Hey, Eric, we need processing for this. So it's about building the relationship. And then he just went back in there and said, hey, guys, what do you think about, do you need some help with and I'll use you as an example, right? A podcast, right? A lot of these businesses are realizing they need to get their voice out there. And you don't have to be Pat and Dave or Pat to have a podcast. What if you have a gun show and you're going in there and doing a podcast on the event, on this, on all this stuff? So having these value adds, it's not about just going out and trying to sell things to people. I want to make myself, and I've always done that, and this is the best advice I always give people in any business, I want to become your left arm that you need me. Without that arm, you're going to be able to work, but you're going to have a harder time doing it unless I'm there.
Yeah, and we have a very vested interest for you to be successful. I always tell people, they're like, well, why are you being so nice, Dave? Like, why are you going to connect me with all these people? It's not Christmas. I'm like, if I can double your sales, can I make more money? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I want to make sure that you love me. And the more you do, the more I make. So I'm very vested to make sure you're successful. And the interesting thing about this, let's think about this. Let's think about conferences, speaking engagements, or podcasts, right? You do a podcast. Let's just use podcasts. You do a podcast and maybe you go on here and you're like, and Magic Bar soaps, go get them. And here's my affiliate link, right? And some people could call that passive because it's linked to, to that episode, but you kind of have to be reliant on those one-time payments and people going back to that episode and then buying the product. It's a whole thing. Imagine speaking on stage or speaking on a podcast and, maybe there's business owners listening and then you have some kind of plug where you're like, hey, if you need payment processing, go to my partners here who've partnered with our podcast, blah, blah, blah. And one podcast episode could pay you for the next 10 years, every single month. Like that's what it is. Kind of unheard of. I don't know what else really, and you could feel good at night. You're not like come to my downline, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Cause it's,
really awesome.
It's not an MLM. It's not anything, right? It is literally similar to being of any
Yeah.
kind of broker.
And
You're facilitating connections.
If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you own a business, you need to take this course just so you need to know how you can switch over your own business. So if you're like, oh, in 2 years, I'll plan on opening up my own business, well, prepare now. And then while you're preparing, if you join and if you're like, ooh, I want more, okay, we got different avenues for you. But if you're like, hey, this is enough for me, I'm here to switch my account, or I just got enough that I need right now, I'll see you in a year, do that then. That's where it's kind of great, where we're no pressure about like, come over here for the thought leadership or whatever any of those words are. That's not, this is all about closing deals and building companies.
Yep.
Well, David and Patricia, where can people go to check out the course and what you have to offer in case they're now curious and want to learn more and see if this is perhaps the right fit for them?
Was it because of the timer in the back? No, it's good.
No. It actually worked out perfectly, though.
Vibe board is amazing. Vibe, please sponsor us. You can go to Residual Payments anywhere. Look up Residual Payments.
Residualpayments.com.
Yeah, residualpayments.com, Facebook group, Instagram. We're on TikTok recently. Meet the don't dance, so don't look for that. Meet the Carlins on there. Instagram, Meet the Carlins. David, Patricia Carlin.
CarlinGlobal.com is another one too.
Yeah,
If
we
you
don't
want to
really
check
use
it
that
out.
one that much. But just
Okay, we'll pop all the links in the show notes and stuff for you. But
I like your sponsors in the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you both for coming on and introducing us to this different part of the entrepreneurial world that has definitely some opportunities that may be of use to those who are listening. So thank you both. Good luck, and hope to send some people your way.
Thank you. It was great
nice
chatting with
meeting
you. See you.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with David and Patricia from residualpayments.com. You can check out everything they have to offer there. You can also check out the show notes and links to all their things at smartpassiveincome.com/session569. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/session569. I always get excited when I'm introduced to different parts of the world like this, where it's like, wow, there are people who are building their own thing in a space that I didn't even know was a space you could build your own thing. And it's just pretty amazing. So hopefully I was able to ask a lot of the questions that perhaps you had along the way. And again, you can check out their course and other things at residualpayments.com. Thank you again to Patricia and David, and good luck to you. And thank you for helping in the way that you know how to help, right? Again, there's another part of the entrepreneurial space that I didn't know exists. And we always have episodes like this. In fact, if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button on your podcast player right now so that you can get these episodes coming your way. I also have a Friday episode coming up very soon for you to talk a little bit more about this and some other teachings along the way. We have some amazing guests coming here as we are approaching summer in 2022, which is pretty amazing. So whether you're listening to this the moment it comes out or in the future, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you, and I look forward to reading your reviews as well and servicing you in the next episodes, which are coming out very soon. So make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next ones. Cheers, peace out, and as always, Team Flynn for the win. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Our senior producer is Sarah Jane Hess. Our series producer is David Grabowski. And our executive producer is Matt Carlin. Sound and video editing by Sean West Media. The Smart Passive Income Podcast is a production of SPI Media. We'll catch you in the next session. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running.
You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to tailorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Tailor Brands.